Hello, everyone. Good afternoon from Portugal. My name is Vanessa. I'm a co-founder and partner of Prime Legal. Um, so today we are going to talk a little bit about exploring a Plan B. I think we had sound issues, so now we are okay. So nice to meet you. My name is Vanessa. Good afternoon from Portugal. Today we are going to talk about exploring a Plan B about the Portugal Golden Visa and specifically regarding the donation and investment fund route. Okay, so to talk a little bit about Prime Legal, we are a boutique law firm based in Lisbon city center. We are focused on providing legal assistance to private clients, foreign clients that they wish either to relocate, to invest into Portugal, to expand their business, to relocate workers. So we do have a lot of expertise in the areas of immigration, real estate, corporate, and tax. We usually share some information and highlights about the legal industry and the legal framework around the programs that are available in Portugal through LinkedIn and Instagram. So if you want to be updated about every legal changes, please stay connected with us. So today we are going to address the Portuguese Golden Visa program, and let's start to explain what is in fact this program. So basically the Golden Visa is a residency by investment program. So by executing an investment which is eligible for the Golden Visa, so respects the legal requirements around the program, the applicant will be granted with a residency permit that will allow freedom to choose to live in Portugal and of course to become a legal resident in the country. What is the major difference between the Golden Visa and the other programs that we have available in our immigration system? Because we do have, for example, the D2 or the D7, which are programs more designed to those that want to relocate to Portugal. So the Golden Visa, it's a very attractive program because at the end of the day, the applicant can maintain the residency valid in Portugal without having physically to relocate to Portugal. So by executing that investment, that residency right will be granted. So as you probably all know, because being a Nomad Gate followers, there is a lot of talk about Portuguese Golden Visa for the past years. We have been facing different changes throughout the time. As you all know, this program is linked, of course, with the legislative movements and also political positions. So we also have an impact on that side. So a question that a lot of you raise is if the Golden Visa program is still in force. And the answer is yes. So of course that we have been facing some amendments. Last October, the decision was in fact to exclude the real estate option from the program. So it's no longer available to invest for the Golden Visa purpose in real estate directly or indirectly, which means that also the fund investment route is not available for real estate investment. Apart from that, the Golden Visa is active, is accepting new applicants, and of course, the downside to the program, although it is a very good program, that ultimately leads to the Portuguese nationality, as we are going to mention in a bit. It can also grant, as I mentioned, residency rights without the applicant and family members having to live physically in Portugal. This is the greatest advantage. But of course, as I was mentioning, the downside nowadays of the program, unfortunately, is the backlog that we are facing coming from the immigration services. I put here the new name of the immigrations for all of you to be aware. That used to be SEF, SEF, and now it's the entity is called IMA. This restriction of from SEF to IMA, it was done not in a proper way by the former government, but now with this new government that was elected in the beginning of the year, we are receiving some positive insights and at least willingness to put things back on track. So this government actively mentioned that it is their goal to reduce the backlog until mid next year. As you probably know, there are thousands of pending applications at the moment, and this is due basically to lack of human resources and the high number of applications being submitted. The government already created 20 new biometric centers. They're already also creating new electronic websites in order to speed up certain types of applications. And they are also hiring and training new staff. Of course, that these actions will not provide us an immediate effect on the backlog, but I honestly think that these are positive information and at least a positive position coming from the actual government. So let's stay positive and also try to our best the industry as we do here at the Prime Legal to be connected with the immigration services, to the government, in order to try to our best to defend the good about the program and just to explain how this can be such a great opportunity to Portugal to benefit from you all foreign clients and investors that you are willing to invest in the country and ultimately receive the Portuguese nationality. So this, I just wanted to say this in the beginning because I am sure that a lot of you are concerned about the backlog. We are also going to address a very specific point about also changing on the nationality law, because as you probably know, the nationality law was also amended in order to accommodate the time that we are waiting for the process to be analyzed for the 5 years required to submit a nationality application. So we are also going to talk about that in a few minutes. So regarding the stay requirement, so as I mentioned, the program requires an investment and will grant to you residency rights, and it will necessarily does not mean that you need physically to relocate to Portugal. So there is a minimum stay requirement about 14 days every 2 years. So this is the stay requirement that the applicant and family members, they need to respect. So by executing one single investment, you will be entitled to, as an investor, to add your family members. And who are they? So spouses, children, civil partners, children with 18 years old or more, if depending, study, and single. So adult children, they need to be studying single throughout the program. Okay, so I get this question a lot. So if this is something that must only be presented at the time of the application, so upon each renewal, the adult children, they need to make sure that they can still prove that they are single and studying. Okay, then parents and also parents-in-law. So parents, if they are more than 65 years old, they can automatically be added to the application. If they are less than that, then we need to prove that they are economic dependently on the investor or on the spouse. So as you probably also know, because I know that coming from Nomad Gates, you are very educated about the process. The Golden Visa is subject to renewal. So by executing an investment, we will be able to submit the application. The application is ultimately divided in two main steps: online application and biometrics. And once everything is done, then the Golden Visa is granted. As a rule, the law is designed in order to issue a first residency card of a validity of 1 year, and then the following cards for 2 years. Nevertheless, there is a provisory regulation mentioning also to try to reduce the backlog from that perspective to issue the first residency card for 2 years instead of 1. So we are basically designing here the program as a 2 plus 2 plus 2. Within those 2 years, the investor and family members, they need to come to Portugal for at least 14 days, consecutive or not, together or not, provided that the 14 days are met within the validity of the residency card. So now let's talk about the investment. So as you probably know, the Golden Visa program can only start, basically the process can only be submitted after certain steps are concluded, such as the investment. So it is also a frequent question. If I request first the Golden Visa and then I do the investment, or if the investment needs to be done since the beginning? And the answer to that is yes. So without the execution of the investment, we cannot submit the Golden Visa application. So this is something that always happens prior to the submission. So here we have all the investment options that are available currently in our immigration law. Of course, that today we are going to address some more details about the donation and the fund route. But then we have it here, everything for you to also to have that information. So creation of at least 10 jobs. So regardless of the threshold, if the investor creates 10 jobs, then it is possible to submit the Golden Visa. We have 500,000 as an investment or donation in research in scientific and technological activities. This is very, very rare. And then the donation, 250,000 to support artistic production and recovery of or maintenance of the national cultural heritage. 500,000 in an investment fund, maturity of at least 5 years, investment in 60% in Portuguese companies, and cannot invest in real estate directly or indirectly. Then lastly, we have the corporate option, which is becoming a little bit more attractive since the real estate option is not available. So I would say that the donation and the corporate Golden Visa, they are gaining here a little bit more of traction since we don't have the real estate. Nevertheless, the fund investment route continues to be the top one choice of investors. The corporate Golden Visa basically brings together a corporate investment, so 500,000 in the share capital of a company to be incorporated by the investor or in an existing company, together with the creation of jobs. If it is a company to be incorporated by the investor, 5 jobs to be created. If it is in a company already incorporated, then maintenance of 10 jobs or creation of 5 job positions. So as I mentioned, today we are going to talk a little bit further about 2 investment options. So investment fund and cultural donation. I would say that here at the office, we have, let's say, around 90% of our clients, since of course the real estate being excluded from the program, Around 90% of our clients, they are choosing the investment fund. But then again, as I mentioned before, the cultural donation and also the corporate golden visa is becoming a little bit more attractive among investors since real estate was excluded. So what are the difference? First of all, the threshold. So within the investment fund, it's 500,000, and then cultural donation, very important, is that we have an option of low density, which reduces the threshold from 250 to 200,000 euros. So if the activity is performed in a low density area, then the threshold is no longer 250, but it's 200,000 euros. So what are the difference? Apart from the threshold, then, of course, the fund option is a pure financial investment and therefore subject to a risk. So on the other hand, we have an expected return. So as a financial investment, it is linked to a financial forecast, and that is predictable to the investor to receive some sort of return. And then it is also possible for you to diversify. There are around, I would say, 40 funds available in the market. And then I think most of the times the real challenge is to meet the minimum thresholds of different funds in order to get together a package that reaches the 500,000 euros. And there's sometimes also a challenge regarding the subscription fees, because usually all clients they intend to diversify it among 2-3 funds, but then we must alert that usually funds that they are managed by different fund managers, they have different subscription fees. So ultimately, when you are getting together your strategy on different funds, you should look into also the fees attached to the funds, and then to try to match the options that you want to pursue, and ultimately to see if it makes sense on a financial perspective. Then cultural donation. So as the name mentioned, so it's a pure donation, so no return expecting to come out of this donation. But then again, it gives you a little bit of security, because the projects that they are available for this type of Golden Visa, they are pre-approved projects by the GEPAC. So GEPAC is a public entity, governmental entity, that analyzes the projects that are presented by the foundations that they are created, and they are respecting the legal requirements to be foundations eligible to present those type of projects. So once GEPAC analyzes and approves these projects presented by the foundation, it is approved. So nothing to be said from the immigration services side about that donation. So the client has the guarantee that the donation that is being executed is in fact eligible for the Golden Visa, because it is not only the foundation that will voucher that the transfer was executed and the funds were donated, but also GEPAC will issue a declaration stating that the client executed that donation into that specific project, and that specific project is in fact approved by GEPAC. So if you are interested in this option, just make sure, of course, through your legal representative, that the project that you are donating is pre-approved by GEPAC. And if it is, then you will make sure that related with the immigration services, there is no risk of rejection. So regarding the application process, then I think we already mentioned in the beginning. So once the client is decided to proceed with the Golden Visa, then of course there are some preliminary steps to accomplish. So such as hire legal representation, get your tax number, get your bank account, get documents ready from the country that you are living, such as criminal records, marriage certificate, birth certificates. So the list of documents, they vary a bit according to the situation that you are in. So and then of course that you have to execute the investment. Once everything is gathered, let's say personal documentation, bank account, investment executed, all the documents that the client managed to obtain abroad, they were duly translated and certified. So on that moment, we are ready to submit the Golden Visa. The Golden Visa is divided in two big steps, as I mentioned before: Golden Visa online application and then biometrics. So the Golden Visa online application is basically submitting an online application in a specific website of the Immigration Services, which was designed for the Golden Visa applications. And then we submit the documents of the investment, personal documentation such as birth certificates, criminal records, and then some personal information from the investor. Then we pay the analysis fees. And after the payment of the analysis fees of the investor, we are able also to add the family members' online applications, which is basically the same, upload all the documents and then pay the analysis fees. From the moment that the analysis fees are paid, then the application is considered submitted. So from that moment on, then it will start the analysis of the application. Once the application is accepted, then we are able to book, according, of course, to the Immigration Services availability, the biometrics appointment. This appointment is basically an appointment before the Immigration Services to where the investor and family members, they need to be in person in Portugal, appearing at this appointment in order to collect fingerprints, photo, and signature. No interview, no questions, just a formality. And of course, your lawyer will be there with you in order to submit all the documents that we have uploaded online, and also updated documentation that is also necessary, such as criminal records. After the biometrics, the final stage of analysis will start, and depending on the place where we are able or where we choose to book the biometrics, because there are offices that are a little bit faster than others, then we will ultimately receive the final approval. The final approval is a notification coming from the Immigration Services allowing us to pay the approval fees. After the payment of the approval fees, within 2 to 3 weeks after the payment, the residency card is issued, and we either collect it in person at the immigration office or receive it by post, depending on the client's decision upon the biometrics appointment, where we can choose one way or the other. Once the residency card is issued and delivered to the client, then it is only the client's job to make sure that the whole family complies with the stay requirements. And for that, we always advise to keep flight tickets, hotel receipts, invoices of meals in Portugal, small purchases, one per day is more than enough. And if it's possible, to mention in those invoices the Portuguese tax number. So, and then it's just a matter of keep renewing the residency cards and ultimately to reach 5 years, and then apply either for the permanent residency and or the Portuguese nationality, depending on the case. Okay, as you realize, things explain like this sounds amazing and very fast. Unfortunately, although the program is well designed and working, we have issues around the timeline. So from my experience, I have been working with the Golden Visa since the early stage, so since beginning 2023, 2013, sorry. And the way that we have been working in the program is always a little bit different the improvements are, of course, great from, for example, in the beginning when the program started, and the process started with the biometrics appointment without the investment executed, and we can later on submit the paperwork. Then they change it to the investment executed first, and then the biometrics application could be done without the online application. Then the third change was, in fact, to bring to the program this online platform where we would submit all the paperwork and then to schedule the biometrics. So before COVID, when the online application started to be the new normal, we used to submit all the paperwork, pay the analysis fees, and then like 2-3 weeks after, we were receiving the notification of acceptance, and ultimately the system would unblock the possibility to book the biometrics. So, and then we would go with the client at an office of choice, and then the remaining time the process was done very smoothly. So nowadays, it's nothing compared to what happened before COVID. As I mentioned, since then, we are facing a lot of issues around the backlog that was created, also because there was not any movement from the government to increase the team behind the Golden Visa program, to open new centers. So they basically, throughout these years, they basically stopped to improve the system, and the demand is higher than before. So that explains a little bit the backlog. So according to our experience nowadays, and we always like to be realistic, and internally in our office, two things are very important. So to be communicative with the client, and also to manage quite well the client's expectations. So since the beginning, when we have the first meeting with the client, we make sure that the client knows exactly what to expect. And for us, it's also makes our work more easy, also to manage the client throughout the years to come, because we are engaging with the client not only for now, but it will be a long-term relationship. Okay, so from our experience, the expected timeline nowadays can be between 2.5 to 3 years. Of course, that this estimative, it will always depend a little bit on the dates that we are talking about the program, of course, because although we are realizing that from the government perspective, that we are feeling that are going to be some movements around reducing the backlog, what we are expecting is that from the immigration services, we could also receive that sort of positive feedback and movement. And unfortunately, this is not yet happening, but we know that internally, also because the immigration services recently created task forces that lawyers, we were part of the discussions around how we could make the system better and to help to reduce the backlog. So I think actively behind the scenes, measures are being studied. But of course, that as an investor, I understand that for you, what is important is to have the practical effect of those measures. So one thing that I would like to also to explain is basically two things. The 5 years for the Portuguese nationality, we are going to address these next in the next slide. So as you all know, the law changed in order to accommodate here the time that the applicant is waiting for the process to be concluded for the 5-year period for the required for the Portuguese nationality application. We will address that in a bit. Then there is also some movements in the industry, also lawyers and law firms also using more and more this legal injunction as a way to expedite the application. And what is this legal injunction? Basically, is a legal action against immigration services to be presented to administrative court, arguing the urgency of the situation and that the delay is affecting the residency rights. So when this legal injunction started to be used by investors and family members, we saw that the judges they had a more wide interpretation about the requirements around the urgency. Nowadays, it's not that wide. It's becoming a little bit more conservative. So what we are seeing is judges refusing some legal injunctions if we don't have specific evidence of the urgency, such as being in Portugal waiting for the outcome of the application, being a tax resident, already relocated to Portugal. I know that this does not make much sense on an immigration level because the system is designed for you to relocate to Portugal only when you are granted with a permit. But then again, the court is also accepting those justifications. So tax residency, having a rental agreement in Portugal, physically staying in Portugal, waiting for the outcome, having kids enroll at school. So all of these are strong evidence to prove the urgency within the legal injunction option. So for those clients that they are doing the golden visa as a plan to relocate to Portugal within, I would say, 1, 2 to 3 years, these can work if the relocation is being prepared in advance. Okay. So very important measure was the change of the Portuguese nationality in the beginning of the year in order to accommodate, let me put this slide first. So what the change of the law mentions is that for the purposes of counting legal residency periods under this law, the time that has elapsed since the temporary residency permit was applied or is also taken into account, provided that it is granted. This means that from the moment that you submit your application until you are granted with the residency rights, so ultimately when your residency card is issued, that period will count for the 5 years of legal residency that are needed in order for you to apply for the Portuguese nationality. Okay, so besides having the 5 years of legal residency, the applicant needs to prove knowledge of the Portuguese language. This is an A2 level that the applicant can achieve by taking a test in Portugal specifically designed for the Portuguese nationality process, or attend a certified course that can grant also this A2 level. Okay. The applicant needs also to have all the certificates of criminal records from the country of birth, nationality, and residency. This requirement is a little bit different from the golden visa because, of course, nationality application is a little bit different than residency. And then, of course, the applicant cannot constitute a danger or threat to national security or defense. So very important note just to say that these 5 years can be counted in a period of a maximum interval of 15 years. So imagine that you have since 2015, you have 3 years of residency from 15 to 18, and then you are doing now the program. You have been a legal resident in the country in the past, and now you are doing the program for this remaining amount. If the interval has a maximum of 15 years, then you can benefit from those 3 years that you were granted with legal residency. Usually clients that are not aware of that, and that sometimes help to add here residency time. So to conclude, and before we pass to the questions that you may have, and please, if you have specific questions, please feel free to introduce them to the Q&A section. That I will try to my best to reply to everything. So common challenges. So from my perspective, personally, I believe that choosing legal representation is very important because it will be basically the law firm or the lawyer that will be in charge of your application since the beginning until the end. And when I say end, ultimately is the granting of the Portuguese nationality. So it's a long-term relationship, and you should make sure that you have all the information that you need, that you do your research, and also the fees are well displayed. Then the investment decision. Sometimes clients, they navigate through different options, and platforms like Nomad, for example, they help you to navigate and to find information to reach a decision about which investments you want to pursue, which are the funds that are available in the market. So this is also, I think, a challenge for the client to make sure that you find the information that you need to make a good decision about your investment. Then for us, the challenge is to manage the client's expectations, and of course to always be informed about the expected timeline and how the backlog is and how is being handled by either the government or the immigration services. At Prime Legal, we try our best to always to update clients about any legal changes, to be communicative, and usually we share some informative notes, and then we organize internal webinars with our clients just to make sure that you have all the information that you need, also to be informed about what to expect. I think a challenge also, I inserted this in the last minute, is residency rights during the analysis periods. A question that I get a lot is, can I come to Portugal to live while my application is being processed? So the formal answer to that is no. So no residency rights are granted while your application is being analyzed, okay? So the only fiction that the law does regarding the analysis period is regarding the 5 years for the nationality. Apart from that, no further rights are granted. So if you wish to relocate, then that situation needs to be analyzed carefully. And I would say that if you are a golden visa applicant and during the analysis period, if you want to relocate to Portugal, and if that relocation is in progress, such as you are already taking action to prepare that relocation, then the legal injunction, perhaps it's a good option for you because it will be easy for your legal representative to present the urgency of that petition. So for these specific cases, the legal injunction can be a good option. So I thank you so much for your participation. I tried to touch the main points about the process. I know that there are a lot of additional questions to be replied. In the meantime, if there are things that you want to see addressed, please feel free to send me an email. We can schedule a follow-up call and try to clarify anything. We are totally available. We and the team, we are of course available. I will try now to reply to some of your questions, okay? If you have additional questions in the meantime, just add them to the Q&A session, please. and I will try to reply to everything. So the first question, Jackie Song, can you please speak to the timeline between the steps? Of course. So if you remember, I talk about preliminary steps, online application, and biometrics. So within the preliminary steps, I would say that depending on, of course, always on the information to be provided by the client, but I would say between 1 month and a half to 3 months, depending on the responsiveness of the client as well, because of, as you know, we will need information, we will need documents, and if the client is highly engaged to the process, we can have the preliminary steps concluded in about one month and a half, I would say. Then the biometrics, once the investment is executed and once we have all the documents on our side, then the online application can be submitted like in the same day, provided that the investment is concluded and we have all the documents on our side. The online application, we are estimating that is taking around 2 years, and the remaining time for the 2.5 years to 3 years, it will be the biometrics stage. This is an estimative. Then case by case, we have in our office different timelines. So clients that stayed in the online application for less than 2 years, but then they are waiting for more time within the biometrics. So the biometrics stage, the thing is to make sure that if possible, we choose an office that we know it's a little bit faster than others. For example, Lisbon office, we know that they are overloaded with applications, not only Golden Visa. So we always try to navigate a little bit within the other offices that are available, which will help ultimately to expedite a little bit the timeline, okay? So for clarity, the 2.5 to 3 years Golden Visa process is the period before the 5-year period begins. So the residency period, yes. So you are only going to be granted with residency rights as soon as you have your residency card, which will only happen at the end of this 2.5 to 3 years. But then for the nationality, you can benefit from the time that you are waiting for the process to be analyzed in order to conclude the 5 years. Then again, you will have to remain in the program the years left to reach 5 years, and then the period that you are waiting for the Portuguese nationality to be processed and approved, because the residency needs to be valid at the time of the nationality application, but also at the time of its approval. Is the 5-year time for citizenship counted from the submission of the online application? Okay, so it is, I think, the understanding of all the legal industry, as at least all the lawyers and legal firms that I have been talking about this, that we can interpret it that when the law mentions that the time from the submission can be counted for the 5 years, it is, of course, from the online application, as we have all the factors to conclude that. So the investment was executed, you as a citizen, you are already complying with all the legal requirements that I mentioned in the law, the analysis fees are paid, and you are granted with a process number. So there is not much room to interpret this otherwise. So we can conclude that the 5 years is counted from the submission of the online application. If we submit the application in January 2025, what is the expected date of citizenship? Wow. So let's see. For the citizenship, you always need 5 years of legal residency, meaning some period of analysis of the application plus the remaining years of residency. Then the nationality application can be submitted, and nowadays the nationality application is taking around 1.5 years to 2 years. So ultimately, you will have a process of 7 years to be granted with the nationality. Are criminal records required? Sorry. Are criminal records required from the current country of citizenship or the country of born or both? So for the golden visa, we're talking about the golden visa. So for the investor is the country of legal residency and current residency. So if the client is from the UK but is living in the States, then we will need the criminal record from the FBI criminal record from the States. Nevertheless, there is a typo in our law regarding family members, and the criteria is cumulative instead of an or, how is mentioned in the investor's case. And ultimately, the immigration services, they ask upon the biometric stage, not only the criminal record from the place of residency, but also from the place of nationality, from the country of nationality. For the nationality, of course, all criminal records are required nationality, country of birth, and residency. What is a realistic rate of return from a fund? So this is very specific questions about the funds, the investment side. I prefer not to engage with that question now. Nevertheless, if you want to be more aware of these, send us an email, and then I can easily provide you contacts of financial advisors that can help you to navigate within these questions. Does the government provide a list of low-density no donation projects? Do you have a list? No, there is no list. What we can provide is projects that are pre-approved by JPAC, and they also analyze this low density requirement. So it is possible to have the project confirmed from a low density perspective. So it is take 2-3 years to get residency. Then is there a requirement to spend 40 days every 2 years before receiving the residency visa? For example, if the residency visa is granted after 3 years, would it be possible to spend 14 days in Portugal in year 4 and 5, but not in the first 3 years after submitting the application, then apply for the citizenship after the 5th year? Okay, so you are asking if the state requirement is also needed during the analysis of the application. So according to my interpretation, no, because the law is not fictionating the golden visa rights at the time of the submission. It is only fictionating the possibility for you to add the time to count for the 5 years. So being the state requirements linked to the immigration law and not necessarily to the nationality law, my answer to that question is no, you don't need to comply with state requirements while you are waiting for your process to be analyzed. When is temporary residency permit issued during the process? So the temporary residency permit is ultimately the final step of the process. So remember, preliminary steps, online application, biometrics, approval, final approval, payment of the approval fees, and then the residency card is issued. This is the final step. That is the current timeline from Lisbon applications. And do you to anticipate that the backlog will increase when it gets closer to 21 applications because of the end of the property ownership eligibility in 2021? Good question. So this is like to guess, okay? So I cannot unfortunately have a clear answer to that. So as you all know, there was a flood of applications submitted in 2021. According to our experience, and also here at the office, There are some applications submitted in 2021 that are still being processed, although it's very it's significant number of clients. Insignificant, no, but it's like one or two cases that were not approved yet. But in the majority, I would say that December 2021 is concluded, and we already received approvals in the first 3 months of 2020. 3 months, no, in the first 4 months of 2022. So I'm not sure what is the criteria for some of applications of December 2021 are still pending, while a few of 2022 are already approved. But what I guess is that they have different teams dealing with different dates among the applications that were submitted. Can you apply for citizenship if you had a residency card as family member as a U.S. citizen for more than 50 years, but now expired since? Okay, this is very specific question, not related with the topic that we are talking about here, but I will be able to clarify. If you can send me a direct email about this, I will be able to reply. What is your fee for the whole process through citizenship? So it's please send us an email, okay, and we will share our letter of engagement with you. We display all the fees that are charged during the process since the beginning until the end of the application. No hidden fees, everything is mentioned in that letter. Of course, that the investor is not going to pay for everything since the beginning, but at least that engagement letter specifies all the fees that the client needs to pay throughout the process leading to the Portuguese nationality. So if you want to have those, just send me an email and I will send you the engagement letter. Are there legal options if the law changes like it did during the withdrawal of the real estate options? Not sure if I understood this question properly, but once you submit your application, you are grandfather within the law that is applicable at that time. Okay, so even if the law changes, it changes for the future. As you remember, there was a proposal to have retroactive effects on the changes of the law that, of course, was totally against our constitutional. It was not subject to approval. One more clarification: the biometrics appointment is after the online approval, correct? Yes. So online application, analysis of that online application, ultimately the lawyer will receive a notification of acceptance of that online application, and then a second notification will be sent allowing the lawyer to book the biometrics. With the biometrics, then the client needs to come to Portugal to appear before the immigration services. Thank you. Excellent presentation. Thank you. Does your firm have any resources to help pointing us to organizations that can help us evaluate funds? So as I mentioned before, we do not provide financial advice. We stick with assisting clients on the legal side of the program. Nevertheless, of course, that we can provide you with contacts of financial advisors that can easily help you to navigate within the fund options. I believe that there are around 40 funds available in the market, so sometimes it's quite challenging to analyze all the options that are available. So if you need a contact, just let me know. Once the process begins, is there a guarantee that the current program will be honored if the law change or that the program is discontinued? So, of course, when you apply, you are applying as a Golden Visa applicant as a whole. So you are applying to benefit from a program that is designed to be a 5-year program. Okay, so even if the law changes, as I mentioned, it can change. All the laws can change, but they they will put the effects of those changes for the future. Okay, so if you have your application submitted, then you are grandfather in the current one. So I will be replying only to 2 or 3 additional questions, okay? And then if you have any additional ones, just send me an email, and I will be delighted to either to meet you or to clarify the questions. During the 5 years wait period for citizenship, should I meet the 14 days every 2 years? During this period, we already replied to this one. How long does the renewals of residency every 2 years take? So, how the system is designed is for you to submit your renewal application up to 3 months prior to the expiration date or 6 months after the expiration date of the card. So you have that timeline according to the law to submit your renewal. As the system is designed right now, renewals, they are submitted under a biometrics appointment. So there is no online application attached, only a biometrics. And at that time, we need to prove again that you are keeping the investment in your name and you have a clean criminal record, for example. So are there cases where an application gets declined after pre-approval and the fingerprinting process? Thanks again. So according to our experience, no. Although we have a 100% success rate, we never had a rejection before since the beginning of the program, and me personally working with the program. So I never saw a case like that. Any potential reasons for rejection? So it's very important to since the beginning of the first meeting with the client to make sure that there is no criminal record that we need to analyze. So sometimes happens that there is a specific situation that the criminal record has some sort of registration, and then we need to look into that specifically to see if that is something that can be accepted according to the Golden Visa rules or not. So what I'm trying to explain is that if the analysis and the work is done properly since the beginning and according to the legal requirements around the program, so there is not much more reasons for rejections that I can mention to you today. So last question, when I apply for Portuguese nationality, I have 5 years on a golden visa, which does not require me to own or to rent a property in Portugal. Would I need to demonstrate any links to Portugal, which would be the case in any other European country? So no, there are no subject requirements attached to the process of getting the Portuguese nationality through legal residency. So currently, all the requirements attached to that possibility are objective. So no further links and no accommodation proof are necessary to present for us to be able to submit the nationality. The last one, I promise. Hi, Vanessa. What are the tax implications for foreign investors who choose the donation option in the Golden Visa program? Are there any tax advantages of incentives for those who opt to a donation instead of a real estate investment? So the answer to that is a big no. So there is no benefit. From a tax point of view, and from a Portuguese perspective, there is no tax advantage. Of course, there is no taxes attached to the donation, but then there is no actual benefit on the tax level. Okay. Do you automatically get issued a visa when you are coming to the biometrics? So very good question. So for those who are not from a visa-free access to Schengen, so the biometrics, the notification for us to book the biometrics will help the client to justify the request for a Schengen visa. Okay, so we can use that to request immediately that visa to be issued, but no visa is issued. but with that notification, it's possible to get the visa easy in an easy way. Okay. So I think I covered most of your questions. Again, I thank you so much for participating in this webinar. The idea was to clarify questions and, of course, to give you an overview about the program. Don't be shy. If you need any additional clarifications, just let me know. We can have a chat and clarify any additional things. It was a pleasure to having you here, and hope that this information is useful in any way. Okay, thank you so much, and see you soon. Ainda tem 10 pessoas aqui. Acho que correu bem.
Acho que correu bem. Eu é que não consegui achar nada porque eu não tinha.
Mas pôs as perguntas.
Não,
Nenhuma era da
eu não
Maria.
fiz isso.
Havia
Eu
um
vou
participante anónimo. Havia um participante anónimo a pôr bué perguntas.